but we do know Malachi Coleman is one of the starting receivers.
Yes, he is.
DP, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's work. It's work. I mean, you're down 3 receivers.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, it's opportunity too.
Right? You're down 4. The bounce between your graduation at high school and week 4 is supposed to be the thing where you jump. Getting familiar, your body matures a little bit. I can say that when you looking at Malachi in high school a year ago and watching him up close, take the sideline before in pregame, his body's changed. His body has changed. He looks the part. Like he's still got some other things to do, but he looks the part. He doesn't look frail. He's running through drills like he's familiar. So, given the choices, and then telling me what you're trying to accomplish with the choice, it's Malachi and then Tyhan, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question about the receiver group, but it's not Malachi focused. Malachi is added value. He adds a thing that Nebraska doesn't have, which is the ability to stretch. We haven't seen it. It's just based on what we know. What we know from him in high school is that we saw him stretch defenses. So we can imagine him at an advanced level in attacking defenses. Big arm quarterback, big, long, strong, 50-50 ball wide receiver gives you some options. And that he's able to hold his own in the run game by getting his body in front of folks and giving Harbaugh and Grant a chance to run by him. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity. The fans he's got their attention. How you use him, I'm not sure that this is the week to launch him in the passing game. I think he gets his reps on the field this week. But when you watch Northwestern defensively, this is one that Harbaugh, Grant, and Fedoni can eat Northwestern alive.
Right.
That's the focus for me, is having those 3 excel and then build it up for next week where you can kind of set Malachi free.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction for all 3 of them, but in particular Malachi, he's obviously the highest. I think he was the highest rated player last year in the state. So there was a lot of pressure and expectations for him to come in. I think, he had a little bit of, knick-knack injuries, during fall camp and, started maybe a little slow. But I think you also got to give him credit to, staying with it, right? And, give Garrett McGuire credit and then probably his assistant coach, trying to, staying on him and creating a path for him, when he had an opportunity. I don't think it was a coincidence that he was able to go in and look somewhat, not somewhat, more natural than what you'd probably seen before in the Illinois game. He had his first catch. Heinrich Harburg missed him on another one, kind of a 7 cut, towards the Nebraska sideline. Then Heinrich Harburg, didn't choose him to pass to him when he was wide open. So you're seeing him, finding the dead area, beating some one-on-one coverage, making a contested catch where you had to keep his toes in bounds, and look quite natural. And I mean, obviously he has a lot of potential, as far as being 6'4", 190 pounds, definitely can run 4.4, but he's, obviously developing as a receiver. So, between him, Doss, Jalen Lloyd, the time is now, when you combine, where you got to keep Billy Kemp healthy and keeping him, plentiful targets, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a guy that could be your tempo setter along with Thomas Fedoni. And then one of these guys need to step up, or all of them. It might be a game, one game where Malachi has a really good game. Next game, Doss. Next game, Lloyd. This is the time they have to play. This is the time they have to develop. But this also isn't a time. There is no turning back now. There is no 4-game type of deal. Dude, we got 6 games. We got a tremendous opportunity as a team. You 3 have a tremendous opportunity of essentially taking over the receiver room by what you do for the next 6 weeks. You could set yourself up to be the assumptive starter in all 3 positions next year by what you do for these next 6 games.
Yeah, it's there's a number that was pushed at me today in that there are 11 active lettermen on offense. 11. There is one at receiver currently active. One.
What do you mean by that?
There's one letterman. One returning letterman.
Oh, from last year.
From last year. On the active roster, there's one wide receiver who has a letter.
Oh, was that Tyhan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's substantial.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to think two of them are out for the season. So that would be
again, the active part tells you that you're going into the meat and potatoes of your Big Ten season,
right?
With one letterman as at receiver.
But at this point in time, there's a saying: once you play 6 games, you're no longer a freshman. You're no longer a sophomore. You're ready to go. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be all conference or all that. And if you are, great. But all the excuses of being young and all that you've been in games. You ain't gonna. There is no excuse, dude. I mean, look, dude, get open. I mean, come on, man.
Because it's that simple in the Big Ten. Hey, man.
I mean,
Austin.
listen.
I got some pads for you. Go get open this week.
Okay, let's look at the schedule. Listen, you're not playing Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin, Northwestern to end your season.
You're playing a team this week, a program that's been to the Big Ten championship 2 out of the last 5 years.
Correct.
And they got there defensively.
Yeah.
This is not Punch and Judy University.
Oh, I'm not saying it is, but they ain't Ohio State, Penn State, or whatever. And it's not as easy as get open. But how long are you going to sit there? That's why I always tell people, like when I coach kids, how long are you going to tell me that your kid's only 14? Because guess what? Next year he's going to be 15. Then he's going to be 16. So what happens when he's 19? You're going to be like, okay, you're going to start holding him accountable. This is an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
You do not get this opportunity at every single place that you can go. Now, does that mean that you need to go out there and be Marvin Harrison Jr.? No, we're not expecting that. But you can go out there and compete. You should be past this. Like, oh, I'm going to go out there and just be okay with you kicking my butt.
I certainly hope that's the case.
Well, it better be.
I can have respect for the young man. I can be a fan of the young man. I'm also going to say that if I was lining up a freshman against Jay Foreman in his junior and senior year at the University of Nebraska,
I got an advantage. But this is no.
We're gonna
again,
look.
Now
we go to school.
There is no comparison when I was in college to any of these teams in the Big Ten. Not one comparison.
Okay.
All I'm saying is it's a phenomenal opportunity, and they can set themselves up by being productive. And it necessarily doesn't have to do with the numbers. It has to do with how you go about your practice habits. And here's what I was telling somebody about this today, and they're asking me about the team, but about the bye week and about this. Sometimes people confuse movement and moving around with progress. You see this all the time in basketball. There's a difference, and there is a huge difference. If you're going to practice, you got to be obsessed with trying to master your class. That means it's just a part. You're process oriented because the results will come out of the process. If you think you're going to go around and then all of a sudden, Austin, the coach is looking at me and I'm going to start moving around. You're just moving around, and then you're trying to dice it up as like you're working hard. There's guys that I told you about that was on the team 2 years ago that knew how to dice it up. That's why they never got over the hump. So you got a bunch of young guys that have nothing to lose. So just go out there with like nothing to lose. Nobody's expecting you to be like the greatest in the Big Ten. But then the only way that you're going to really jumpstart your development and get the confidence is really going out there and playing balls to the wall and competing 100%. Yes, you're going to get your butt kicked. But if you know what you're doing and you go out there and do it as hard as you can, then you'll start to say, okay, well, say you lose 30% of the time. Well, then it's going to be down to 20. Then it's going to be about a 10. Then when you step into the realm next year, you're really going through it. Because if you go through and kind of like tiptoe in what I call movement and just moving around, well, when it comes down to when you really got to do it, you're going to let yourself down. So essentially you just double down and it's going to hurt twice as much.
I like the young receivers. I like that it's a room filled with young receivers. I just also know that it's the Big Ten Conference. And
well, everybody,
it's not that it's just not the guys that beat out these dudes weren't blowing up the Big Ten Conference in the passing game.
Right.
That's not what it was. Now,
Right.
maybe we've broken the matrix and we have the 3 young receivers who are the perfect group to come out and figure out, hey, it's Neo and it's what we were waiting for. Malachi is Neo. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to put that on him, but that's kind of what we're talking about.
It's not that, because it never was that beforehand. And
He's
that's
the one.
And that's not that's not what the defense, that's not what the team is built on. What do you need to fill a role.
He's starting to believe.
So then, like, Billy Kemp and I guess Fedoni in this running game need to and have to made strides through this bye week.
Big week
and when we get through there. This is a got to have it
big
game.
Week for it. Big
have to have it, got to have it. This is what it is.
You nailed it in that it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And we'll all cross our fingers and squint our eyes and say all the good things and hope that the young men, those 3 young men, have the moments that they've all been working their tails off for. Because they've been working. And it is a great opportunity. Would you say luck is when opportunity meets preparation? Here it is. I hope they're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, they just got to have a goal for themselves.
Yeah.
And listen, you got somebody going to deliver the mail now. I mean,
how about that?
I can be open and you up there throwing it over there to Gatorade.
Hey,
bro, we got to have some speaks. But so at the end of the day, you got to be goal oriented and process oriented when you're a young player at this stage.
Yeah.
It's not results oriented.
Yeah.
Because they're only going to need you maybe to catch one ball. They might need you to catch a 5-yard stop to keep the drive going. That's huge progress.
Make one big play, and I'm happy.
And the big play is your average play for these guys.